27.9 degrees, 27.9. And the starting mileage is 42526. 42526. Hey YouTube, it's gentlemansnine. And today's topic is weighted temperature. So if you look at the stats for this year and last year on the Polar Bear Challenge website, you'll see a column there called weighted temp. You'll also see a column there called average temp. So weighted temp and weighted average temp. So if I were to give you an example here, and I'm just going to use some easy numbers. Let's say I rode 10 miles at 30 degrees, and let's say I rode 30 miles at 10 degrees. The average temp, which means I'm just looking at the temperature itself, is 30 plus 10 divided by 2, which is 20 degrees. Stupid math. It would be 20 degrees. So that should be logical, right? It's halfway between 10 and 30. But if you think about it, I only rode 10 miles at 30 degrees, and I actually did 30 miles at 10 degrees. So I drove 3 times the number of miles at a lower temperature. So if anything, the temperature, I should actually be given credit for a lower temperature, because I rode most of them at 10 degrees. So the weighted temp basically takes the miles that you rode and multiplies it times the temperature that you rode, and then some insert fancy math here. And if I do the math, what you should see is that instead of the average temperature being 20 degrees, the weighted average temperature would be 15 degrees, which is much closer to the 10 based on the math. Does that kind of make sense? So, what does this mean to you? If you rode, let's say you did a bunch of rides, and your average temperature comes out to be 25 degrees, but your weighted average temperature comes out to be 20 degrees. That means the majority of your miles that you've ridden are actually lower than 25 degrees. In other words, you're riding in temps that are colder than the average temp. So therefore, you should really focus on the weighted average temp instead. I guess the other way to think about it is, let's say I did one ride at 30 degrees for, let's say, 100,000 miles, just something ridiculous. And then I did another ride for 1 mile at 10 degrees. In that particular example, is it quite fair if I said so the average temperature in that example is 20 degrees? Is it fair to say that you actually rode most of those at an average temp of 20 degrees? Not really, because you rode like thousands of miles at 30 degrees. If anything, the temperature, the weighted temperature should actually be closer to 30, which it is. So in this case, I'm not going to do the math, but basically it should end up being like 29 point something degrees, which is really telling you, so if the average temperature is 20, but the weighted average temperature is 29, what that really means is I've ridden most of my miles at a warmer temperature. That, or I'm just confusing the bejesus out of you. But anyways, if you have questions about it, I can send me a PM or post a comment, and I'll try to explain this using actual numbers and real math, so you can see the formulas behind it. I don't know if that's the type of person you need, the type of person you are, where you actually need to see the numbers, visualize it, as opposed to just hearing an audio. Anyways, that's the topic for the day. I will talk to you guys later. Ending mileage 42565. 42565.